The 1980s brought some of the wildest experiments the trucking world has ever seen. Manufacturers went all in on new technology, crazy designs, and big horsepower numbers. Turbochargers became standard equipment. Aerodynamics turned into a major buzzword. Companies chased innovation like it was the only thing that mattered. But when you take bold swings, sometimes you miss completely. Some of these trucks were genuinely decades ahead of their time. Engineers loved them. The specs looked amazing on paper, yet the market rejected them. Mechanics hated working on them. Drivers refused to stay behind the wheel. Here are 10 semi-trucks from the 1980s that showed incredible promise, but crashed hard in the real world. Number 1, Mack Cruiseliner II. The Mack Cruiseliner II represented one of the most ambitious projects Mack ever tackled. When it first appeared in the early 1980s, it looked like something ripped from a sci-fi movie. Sleek lines, aerodynamic curves, a futuristic appearance in an era full of boxy, brick-shaped rigs. Mack engineers poured everything they had into designing a cabover that would redefine the company and fight back against the growing dominance of Freightliner and Kenworth. On paper, the Cruiseliner II offered everything a long-haul driver could want. Better aerodynamics meant improved fuel economy. The newly designed cabin gave drivers more headroom. The dashboard looked modern and featured digital gauges and futuristic touches that were almost unheard of back then. The exterior had this smooth, sculpted look that turned heads on every highway. Mack intended it to be their statement piece, bold, brave, born from genuine innovation. But brilliance on paper doesn't always translate to success on asphalt. Once these trucks hit real roads, the problems started showing up fast. The futuristic cab layout sacrificed comfort and everyday practicality. Drivers complained constantly about awkward seating positions and sleeping quarters that felt cramped and uncomfortable. Mechanics cursed the overly complicated cab tilt mechanism required just to reach the engine. Vibrations became another major headache. At highway speeds, the whole cab would shake violently, making long hauls exhausting for anyone behind the wheel. Maintenance turned into an absolute nightmare. Mack used tons of proprietary parts that were expensive, hard to find, and required special training to fix. Fleet owners started abandoning the model within just a few years, switching back to more reliable and familiar designs from competitors. In the end, the Mack Cruiseliner II became a tragic example of overambition. An engineering marvel on paper, a mechanical disaster on the road. Mack eventually phased out their entire Cabover lineup and focused on conventional designs that worked better for North American haulers. Today, the few surviving Cruiseliner IIs have become collector treasures, reminders of Mack's daring leap into a future the market simply wasn't ready for. Number 2, International Transtar Eagle Suo 4070. International Harvester wanted to own the heavy-duty truck market during the late 1970s and into the 1980s. Their big answer came in the Transtar Eagle Suo 4070, a truck built to bring comfort and class to an industry famous for rough rides and stripped-down interiors. International wanted drivers to feel like royalty on the highway, and the Transtar Eagle aimed to make that happen. This cabover came stuffed with luxury features that nobody had ever seen in a semi before: soft plush upholstery, thick padded seats, extra sound deadening materials, optional wood trim on the dashboard for drivers who wanted to get fancy. The Eagle went after long-haul professionals who spent weeks away from their families, giving them a comfortable place to live and work on the road. The engine choices were rock solid too, with reliable Cummins and Detroit diesel options that promised serious pulling power and durability. For a short while, this truck looked like a winner. Drivers loved the comfort and the great visibility. Owner-operators enjoyed having something stylish, but still capable of getting the job done. But reality caught up with International before long. The 1980s brought deregulation to the trucking business, forcing fleets to cut costs wherever they possibly could. Expensive luxury trucks like the Transtar Eagle stopped being assets and started being liabilities. The complex wiring and high-end materials cost a fortune to fix. The extra weight hurt fuel economy. Fleet managers began choosing cheaper, lighter, and simpler to maintain alternatives instead. On top of all that, the cabover era was coming to a close. Law changes allowed longer trailers and longer trucks, so conventional long-nose designs became the new favorites. The Transtar Eagle's futuristic luxury suddenly felt old and out of place in a market that only cared about practicality. International pulled the plug on the model by the mid-1980s. The Transtar Eagle CO 4070 remains a fascinating piece of trucking history, a brilliant idea that ended up being way too fancy and way too complicated for the harsh realities of long-haul trucking. A luxury cruise ship in an industry that just wanted hard-working tugboats. Number 3, Kenworth K100 Aerodyne II. The Kenworth K100 Aerodyne II was way more than just another truck. It turned into a genuine piece of American culture. If you traveled on US highways during the 1980s, you could not possibly miss its tall sleeper cab, massive chrome grille, and those famous twin roof windows that gave the Aerodyne its name. It looked tough. It looked futuristic. It looked unmistakably like a Kenworth through and through. The Aerodyne II represented the absolute highest point of cabover design. It delivered improved aerodynamics, a raised roof for extra sleeping space, and top-quality features that made long hauls much more tolerable. The inside felt surprisingly roomy, with comfortable seats and decent noise insulation for that time period. Under the skin, it packed serious muscle with engines such as the Cummins Big Cam or Detroit Diesel 8V92, tough and dependable workhorses that drivers trusted. But here's where things get interesting. The same brilliance that made the K100 Aerodyne II great also caused its downfall. The 1980s brought major changes to American trucking regulations, especially the loosening of length restrictions. Before these changes happened, cabovers were completely necessary. Their flat-nose design saved precious trailer space and let drivers carry longer loads. Once the restrictions went away, conventional trucks like the Kenworth W900 and Peterbilt 37 and 9 took over the highways completely. They offered better ride quality and much easier maintenance. The K100 suddenly looked like a dinosaur. Its compact cab, once a major selling point, now felt small and cramped. Drivers wanted long-nose trucks that gave smoother rides, quieter cabins, and way easier access to the engine. Working on the Aerodyne II remained a pain, requiring the whole cab to tilt forward just to perform basic repairs. Kenworth tried to keep it alive with updates and special editions, but everybody could see what was coming. By the late 1980s, production numbers were falling fast. The K100 Aerodyne III was brilliant, fearless, and loved by many drivers, but it represented the end of one era instead of the beginning of a new one. Today, it stands as a nostalgic reminder of the golden cabover age, a memory of when style and power ruled the highway before comfort and practicality took over completely. Number 4, Volvo F12 Globetrotter. Across the Atlantic, the Volvo F12 Globetrotter was an absolute beast. Introduced in the late 1970s and owning the 1980s, it was built for one specific mission: making life easier for long-haul drivers crossing Europe. It was fresh, efficient, and put together with that famous Scandinavian attention to detail. Volvo gave the world a truck that mixed performance, safety, and comfort in ways that few competitors could match. The F12's biggest breakthrough came from the Globetrotter cab design. It was roomy. It was silent. It came loaded with comfort features that nobody had heard of back then. A flat floor with no hump to climb over. Air suspension seats that floated over bumps. Great visibility in every direction. Controls placed exactly where drivers wanted them to be. Volvo engineers also put a huge focus on driver safety long before it became trendy, introducing advanced braking systems and reinforced cabs years before they turned into industry requirements. The F12 also brought real power to the table. Its 12-liter turbocharged diesel engine earned a reputation for reliability and pulling strength, perfect for Europe's mountain passes and long, high-speed freeways. Fuel efficiency stood out as another major strength, something American trucks of that time simply could not compete with. But when Volvo tried to sell the F12 in the American market, the whole thing fell apart almost immediately. American truckers were used to long-nose conventionals, not small cabovers from Europe. The F12's lighter frame and smaller engine felt weak for the massive loads that US truckers hauled every single day. Parts and service centers were almost impossible to locate, making regular maintenance a total nightmare. Volvo seriously misjudged how culturally different the US trucking world really was. What worked great in Europe, efficiency, small size, and cab comfort, did not impress American drivers who wanted raw power, long wheelbases, and chrome-heavy styling. The F12's failure in the United States did not stop its European success, though. It became one of Volvo's best-selling trucks overseas and set the stage for modern Volvo rigs still running today. But in North America, it remains just a small footnote in history, a brilliant machine that could not cross the Atlantic divide. Number 5, Ford Transcontinental. The Ford Transcontinental came from a huge dream to build a world-class heavy truck that could compete with European giants like Scania, Volvo, and Mercedes-Benz. Introduced in 1975 and improved through the early 1980s, the Transcontinental stood as Ford's first truly international heavy-duty semi-truck. It mixed engineering from all across Europe with Ford's enormous manufacturing resources. The cab got designed by Burley in France. The chassis had British roots and British engineering. The power came from reliable Cummins engines that truckers already knew and trusted. The inside felt luxurious for its time. Wide bunks for sleeping, good soundproofing to keep noise out, heating and ventilation systems that made long trips much more comfortable. Drivers loved the comfort and the high driving position that gave them an excellent view of the road ahead. Looking at the plans, it seemed perfect. The right combination of performance and comfort, but in the real world, the Transcontinental suffered from endless problems. Build quality came out inconsistent, especially in those early production runs. The electrical systems gained a reputation for being totally unreliable. The cab insulation failed when the weather got extreme. Even though the Cummins engines stayed solid, the parts around them did not match their durability at all. Getting parts turned into a complete nightmare because Ford bought components from a bunch of different European suppliers. Repairs often meant dealing with a confusing mess of different manufacturers and quality standards. Fleet downtime went through the roof, and operators quickly lost faith in the truck. Ford's lack of long-term commitment became the final blow. By the mid-1980s, the company decided to get out of the heavy truck market entirely, abandoning the Transcontinental project for good. Drivers who had put their money into the truck found themselves stuck without any support or spare parts. Even with its failure, the Ford Transcontinental remains one of the boldest experiments of that whole era. A truck that tried to unite Europe's trucking knowledge under one roof but collapsed under its own weight. Brilliant as an idea, ambitious in its design. Ultimately a victim of corporate confusion and awful timing. Number 6, GMC Astro 95. The GMC Astro 95 was once seen as General Motors' great hope for taking over the heavy-duty trucking industry. First launched in the late 1970s, the Astro rolled into the 1980s as a fresh and capable cabover that seemed ready to fight Freightliner, Kenworth, and Mack head-on. On paper, it looked like a serious contender. Strong Detroit diesel engines, a roomy cab, GM's famous engineering know-how behind every part. The Astro got promoted as both tough and good-looking, appealing to fleets and independent drivers at the same time. Its cabover design gave better maneuverability in cities and tight loading docks, a big advantage back before length laws got relaxed. The truck's interior felt surprisingly large for its class, featuring better visibility and driver-friendly design than many of its rivals offered. GM even offered a premium Astro 95 Eagle package with extra comfort features and chrome trim, trying to attract owner-operators who wanted both power and pride on the road. But underneath that promising exterior, cracks started showing up fast. The Astro's biggest problem came down to simple neglect from the top. GM's attention during the 1980s had shifted heavily toward passenger cars, leaving their heavy truck division completely starved for new ideas and investment money. The Astro's design quickly became old and tired, with almost no updates to keep it competitive. Its cab structure aged terribly. Drivers complained constantly about shaking, rattling, and too much noise at highway speeds. Even worse, GM failed to build a dealer and parts network capable of supporting heavy-duty fleets across the country. Maintenance became hard and parts availability dropped to almost nothing. By the mid-1980s, most fleets had moved on to more dependable models from Freightliner and Kenworth. When GM finally pulled out of the heavy truck market completely in 1986, the Astro 95 got left behind without any future. A truck that showed GM's engineering strength, but also their complete lack of long-term planning. The Astro 95 was brilliant as a concept, aerodynamic for its time, stylish, and comfortable, but it became old news almost overnight. These days, surviving Astros are rare collector items, reminders of the last time GM dared to challenge the giants of American trucking. Number 7, Scania A112M. If there was one truck that represented European engineering excellence throughout the 1980s, it was the Scania A112M. Introduced in 1980, this machine was a true work of art in terms of precision, comfort, and toughness. It came with Scania's famous modular engine design, a 1-liter inline-6 turbodiesel that was both fuel-efficient and nearly indestructible under hard use. The cab got built like a tank, offering unmatched safety and comfort for its time. The ride felt smooth thanks to Scania's advanced suspension setup, and the inside felt more like a plain cockpit than a truck cabin. 112M was built to make long-distance driving less punishing on the driver's body. It offered features like air suspension seats, adjustable steering columns, and excellent noise insulation, all things that felt revolutionary in the early 1980s. Many drivers called it the Mercedes of trucks because of how polished it felt compared to older, more basic rigs on the road. So what went wrong with such a clearly great truck? Put simply, it was too good and too costly for its own good. Scania's commitment to quality came at a huge price. The A112M got priced way above its competitors. Big fleets liked its durability, but smaller operators simply could not afford the huge investment. Maintenance also cost a fortune, and parts were hard to find outside of Western Europe. In countries where profit margins stayed tight and fuel prices jumped around constantly, the A112 became a serious financial burden. Many operators switched to cheaper alternatives from Volvo or DAF instead, even if those trucks were not built as well. The A112M's high production cost and limited worldwide support network meant it could not grow to the level Scania had hoped for. By the late 1980s, newer Scania models had replaced it, and the A112M quietly left the stage, but it left a lasting mark behind. Many of these trucks ran for over 1 million miles without needing major overhauls, proof of their incredible engineering quality. It failed as a commercial product, but among the people who actually drove one, it earned permanent respect. The Scania A112M was a victim of its own excellence. Too advanced for the world, it was born into the A112M's high production cost and limited worldwide support network meant it could not grow to the level Scania had hoped for. By the late 1980s, newer Scania models had replaced it, and the A112M quietly left the stage. But it left a lasting mark behind. Many of these trucks ran for over 1 million miles without needing major overhauls, proof of their incredible engineering quality. It failed as a commercial product, but among the people who actually drove one, it earned permanent respect. The Scania A112M was a victim of its own excellence, too advanced for the world it was born into. Number 8 DAF 2800 was one of those trucks that every European driver respected back in the early 1980s. When it first showed up in the late 70s, it felt like a true breakthrough. Comfortable, quiet, powerful. Its 11.6-liter turbocharged engine delivered impressive pulling power, and the cabin ranked as one of the best in the whole business. DAF designed the 2800 with long-haul European routes in mind, putting driver comfort and reliability ahead of sheer brute horsepower. The cab felt open and roomy, featuring a flat floor and a generous sleeping area, something pretty unusual for trucks at that time. The truck also came with power steering, strong braking systems, and excellent visibility in all directions, making it a real pleasure to drive across endless highways. For its era, the 2800 was considered a luxury semi-truck. Drivers absolutely loved it, and many even added their own custom touches like curtains, refrigerators, and extra lights as a point of pride for long-haul trips from Amsterdam all the way to Athens. But by the mid-1980s, the 2800 started falling behind. Competitors like Volvo and Scania were rolling out newer, more efficient models with better fuel economy and lighter weight designs. The DAF 2800, though still reliable, was heavy and thirsty by comparison. Its aerodynamics had become outdated, and it lacked the improvements found in newer cabs coming out of Scandinavia. DAF tried to update it with better engines and minor cab changes, but the competition had already moved too far ahead. The 2800 simply could not keep up in an era where fuel efficiency and emissions rules were becoming more important every single year. Its production ended quietly, replaced by the DAF 3300 and 3600 trucks that carried forward its spirit but with more modern features. The 2800's failure was not some dramatic crash, but more of a slow fade away. It was brilliant in its time, a comfortable and powerful workhorse, but the industry moved faster than DAF could respond. Even today, old-school drivers still talk fondly about the 2800. It may have failed commercially in the long run, but it succeeded in earning a special place in trucking history as one of the most driver-friendly rigs of its entire generation. Number 9 Freightliner Powerliner. When Freightliner showed off the Powerliner in the early 1980s, they called it the most powerful production truck in all of North America. It came with a massive Cummins engine capable of making over 600 horsepower, something completely unheard of at that time. This was a truck built for total domination, designed to conquer the toughest mountain passes and pull the heaviest loads with zero trouble. The Powerliner looked the part too. Its bold aerodynamic shape made it stand out on any highway. It got built with heavy-duty materials everywhere, featuring reinforced frames, advanced suspension, and a cab that looked futuristic even by 1980s standards. Number 10 Renault R-Series Turbo. When Renault introduced the R-Series Turbo in the early 1980s, it was obvious they were trying to completely change European trucking. This French-made rig looked sleek and slippery through the wind, designed with a futuristic cab that put visibility and fuel efficiency above everything else. Renault had poured serious new ideas into this truck, offering advanced turbo diesel engines that promised a great balance of performance and economy. The R Series was built for driver comfort, with features like a tilted dashboard, great visibility in all directions, and quiet interiors, all rare luxuries at that time.